Good morning, gang. Happy Friday morning. So how many of you tried to stomach the 1-hour press conference that Biden had yesterday? Yes, I took one for the team. It's a damn good thing I don't play drinking games with these things. Yesterday was supposed to be his big boy press conference. I guess that means that he was wearing pull-ups and not Pampers. Whoever came up with that term that both Karine Jean-Pierre and John Kirby mentioned in press conferences really needs to be fired. But then again, that would be everybody in the Biden administration needs to be fired. Yesterday was supposed to be Joe's coming out moment, if you will. Not that way, but, to show people that he really had what it took for 4 more years. The Democrats were counting on this to turn the tide to be the point where they could convince the voters that Joe's there. The debate night was just a bad night. That everything else we've seen over the past at least 15 years since he was vice president, if not longer, because we can go back a lot longer with putting foot in mouth, that was just a one-off. No. It was probably better than the Democrats expected last night, but that's because the bar is so low. As long as Joe doesn't pass out on stage, it was a good night as far as the Democrats are concerned. You've got to figure there's absolute panic right now in the Democrat Party because, every time Joe gets in public, he just pushes more and more people into the Trump camp. Even if people don't like Trump at this point, they're going, I can't vote for this clown. RFK is the winner every time because there's a lot of people that aren't going to vote for Trump no matter what. He's been villainized so bad by the DNC for stuff that he never did. Okay. The people that watch CNN and MSNBC, they're just completely blind. So they'll vote for RFK, which is fine. They're going to take away votes from Biden. Biden and RFK can split the Democrat vote. This is getting crazy. The last projected electoral college count I saw was 358 for Trump. That's insane, okay? But we'll see what happens. When they're talking now, literally, the Democrat Party is talking now. Minnesota's a swing state. New York is a swing state. This is how bad he's doing, okay? States that haven't gone red since Reagan. Minnesota, I can't tell you the last time they voted red because remember, Reagan-Mondale, Minnesota voted for Mondale. It was his home state. So how'd Joe do last night? Well, I thought you'd like to see some of the wonderful things he did. And it started before the debate because yesterday was the NATO summit too, where all the NATO nations got together in Washington. Joe hosted everybody together. There's no way to put this into words. I'm just going to show you the first thing. So take a look at this.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. You're going to beat President Putin.
Yes, our illustrious president confused Volodymyr Zelensky with Vladimir Putin. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce you to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Adolf Hitler. That's literally what he did here. Two sides opposite in a war. Now, he stepped away from the podium and came back. But honestly, this is nuts. Okay? When you can't even get the names right of world leaders who you're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to, who's your best buddy because he's sending you all the kickbacks, we got a problem. The expression on Zelensky's face was priceless. It's you can see what was running through his mind. He goes, I'm screwed. That's the end of the gravy train here in a few months. I better figure out how to escape now because it's over. So then we got into the press conference. And again, I've just got to show you this.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there.
Yes, again, Joe Biden mistakenly called one person somebody else. He identified the vice president that he chose as Vice President Trump. I guess this is a picture of our vice president. Somebody made that. I thought it was awesome and I had to share, okay? And on a Friday, you guys need a good laugh, okay? So as he went along in his press conference, his next big gaffe was this. Watch this one.
I'm following the advice of my commander-in-chief,
I'm following the advice of the commander-in-chief. Note to self, Joe, you are the commander-in-chief. Not Jill, not Barry, not Susan, not Hillary. You are the one who has the bedroom in the East Wing and the office in the West Wing. You are the one who the puppy dog follows you around with the nuclear football. None of them, okay? You're the one that has to go stand up in debates and press conferences. Granted, somebody else is talking into your ear, I get it, okay, and telling you what to say, but you are the commander-in-chief. You don't have to follow the advice of anybody. You're the one that's supposed to be making the decisions. But again, we are a potato after all. So as Joe went on, he had some other good gaffes in there, and some of them kind of slipped through. Some of us were astute enough to catch them. One of them that he made a comment he had said about meeting Golda Meir, okay, who's the Israeli prime minister back in the 70s. And I think Golda Meir died late 80s, somewhere thereabout. And he had talked about, well, that's how long I've been around. I met Golda Meir. So very simple, you can do this to yourself. Google search, when did Golda Meir meet Joe Biden? Google's answer, Golda Meir, the former president of Israel, and Joe Biden, the current president of the United States, never actually met. There you go, okay? So, I mean, there aren't enough digits on a calculator anymore to figure out how many lies Joe tells. So no, even though Joe admitted it, just like he marched with Martin Luther King or he was in jail with Nelson Mandela, nope. Even though he likes to tell this story, he never met Golda Meir. So as Joe went along, one of the other questions was, do you talk to political leaders? Do you talk to Vladimir Putin? And Biden said, well, I talk to Zelensky a lot. I have no reason to talk to Putin. I'm like, there's a war going on. And you keep talking about how you want to end this war. Yeah, I think you have a really good reason to talk to Putin. Hey, Vlad, what can we do to put a stop to this? Oh, that's right. Joe doesn't want to put a stop to it. He admitted that last night, that he wants this war to continue. Gee, who said that before, that Joe needs this war? Remind me again. Okay. Joe needs his 10% kickback. Joe wants this war. Joe is trying to set up his retirement account. And it is coming out of your taxes and my taxes. Joe needs this war to keep going. because as long as it does, the cash keeps coming in, because when Joe's kicked out of the White House, he wants to be able to live high on the hog for the rest of his life. But no, Joe has no reason to talk to Putin, so he doesn't bother to try. A couple of times in there, Joe got in trying to talk about the same lies he was trying to spit out in the debate. A couple of times he caught himself. He caught himself on the losers and suckers lie. He stopped in the middle of that one. But he went through on this one that bullets kill more kids in the United States than anything else. No, Joe. That's been disproven. I can't even begin to tell you how many times. Abortion kills more kids in the United States, and drugs kill more kids in the United States than bullets by a long shot. Okay, and even if you want to add the 19-year-olds in, the of legal age, no longer kids, to the mix to get your numbers higher. The other problem that you have, Joe, is those bullets that are killing kids are being shot by other kids in Chicago, in St. Louis, in Detroit, in Newark, in New York. The gangs, the crime that you have let run rampant. That's the problem. Okay? It's not the guns, like you said, Joe. It's the people that are still on the street because you and your George Soros prosecutors won't do anything about it. Last night was political suicide for Joe. Last night might have been the day that Donald Trump sat back in his chair and said, "Yep, it's over." I love how the Democrats are all getting in the media and saying, even Biden said this last night, "Where's Trump been for the last 2 weeks? He's riding around in his golf cart, marking his score down while I've been out working." Exactly, Joe. He doesn't need to do anything. He doesn't need to tell the world what an incompetent asshole you are, because you're doing it for him. All Trump's got to do is sit back and go, "Why do you want to elect me?" Just look at that guy. I mean, that's... My dog could win an election over Joe Biden. That's how bad this guy is. I want to see how they spin this. Like I said, well, he did better than we expected. Yeah, because the expectations are that he's going to drop dead on stage. As long as he didn't do that, that's better than normal. The Democrats are in a panic. There's been a lot of talk all this week that by the end of this weekend, we will know what the Democrats are going to do on the top of the ticket. Joe isn't going anywhere. Joe's not dropping out voluntarily. His ego, his narcissism will not let him do it. Jill will not let him do it. Inevitably, what's going on is the Democrats are trying to figure out how to put some sort of package together, like a retirement package like you give to a CEO, some golden parachute. They're trying to figure out how to put something together. Problem is that's not legal, to get Joe to drop out. Joe's not dropping out, which is fine by me. I still think he's not going to be on the top of the ticket. But if he is, great, because Joe's the easiest candidate to beat. Joe's a vegetable. Simple as that. Potato Joe. I get a kick out of the ABC poll that says that if Kamala Harris is at the top of the ticket, she'd be leading Trump by 3 points. I want to know. They had to interview everybody in the Biden campaign to get that, and that's how much of a lead she has. Because I think Emerson did a poll too, and shows Trump beats Harris by 11. Okay. But no, they're going to run with this 3-point poll where Harris is ahead all over the place, because no, that's not an outlier at all, right? Because Kamala Harris has been such a success as vice president. Face it, we hopefully have a paradigm shift in American politics. It's funny when you see all these liberals on social media, Hollywood stars, podcasters, whatever. If Donald Trump's winning, I'm leaving the United States. And there's nobody that's going, oh, please stay. They're like, do you need help packing? I mean, that's pretty much where you liberals, you want to leave? Go ahead. We've got no problem with it. Trust me. If you want to go to Canada, please do. All right? I'll buy your plane ticket. One way. And give me your passport before you leave, because you ain't coming back. We're watching a slow death for Joe. And some people feel sorry for him. I'm enjoying every minute of it because he deserves all the vitriol that's being thrown in his face. Because this isn't new for Joe. Joe's been an arrogant prick for his entire career. They'll glad hand, they'll say how much, oh, Joe's such a nice guy, Uncle Joe, this, that, and the other thing. Joe's an ass. Joe's always been an ass. Joe's always been a huge racist. But nobody seems to want to admit that. But if you go back and read the statements he's made, the countless interviews he's had with, or interviews that other people have had talking about him as a senator, as vice president, as president, they all say the same thing. Joe's terrible to work for. And Jill, his whore babysitter, is worse. Let's get back to normalcy, people. Back where we can do our normal lives without worrying that somebody's going to put us in a war, without bringing over enemy combatants into our country left and right, without trying to steal our jobs or make our money worthless or put more and more regulations on us. Let's go back to a country where you can do your thing, shake hands with your neighbor, wave at somebody driving down the street, help somebody with a flat tire, and your kids can go outside and play. That's the country I want to live in. If the Democrats don't like that, as somebody said, you know, if Donald Trump wins, America will never be the same again. Good. Because if what you brought in is the same, I don't want to be that anymore. Have a good day. Pinball out.